Oh, we got a super chat from Tino. All right, we appreciate the super chat, Tino. Sorry I didn't get to it sooner. This little system I have um, doesn't tell me when the super chats come in. Super random. What is your opinion on Chris Sims and Mike Florio? Very bad. So if you were a Tino, if you were a member of the inner circle, one of the things I put out is all of the things that Chris Sims has gotten wrong as far as the draft is concerned. And it's very big stuff. For example, he said Zach Wilson's the best quarterback in his class. He said Kellen Mond is going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. He said that De'Ami Brown is better than Jalen Waddle. He said just so much bullshit. Uh, Tyleek Will Anderson is the fifth best defensive end in his class. Fifth best. And that Will McDonald is better than Will Anderson. So Chris Sims knows absolutely nothing about anything. You shouldn't listen to him about anything. Now, Florio is a different story. Florio is a different story. Florio is a former lawyer. He's a union lawyer. So he's going to come at everything from the union perspective and hating the owners. Because if you know anything about lawyers, first of all, they all suck. You know, there's the old joke, what do you call 10,000 lawyers at the bottom of the ocean? A good start. So he's a beady-eyed little lawyer, you know. But he's also a union lawyer. So everything that happens, he's going to take the player side over the owners. It's also a easy position to take in the media because who's going to criticize you for criticizing the owners? You know, these old fuckers, right? So, but sometimes he does have good information, unfortunately. So Florio, you gotta filter his information through the lens of he's a union lawyer. So anything he says about the CBA or this or that, he's on the union side 1,000%. The owners can never do anything right, you know, never gives him credit for anything. But then on the other side, sometimes he has good information. So you got to be careful. So that's the way it is with most media people. You have to know how to filter them. Some people you just filter out completely. They're just total nonsense, like Tony Pauline, for example. Total bullshit. He's just trying to get into the aggregators to keep his name circulating so he can get other jobs. You know that because he keeps showing up as working for a different outlet every 4 months. He keeps getting fired because he's so terrible. But other people, you have to know how to filter them. So, for example, this news that I didn't report the news. I told you what Connor Hughes said. When Connor Hughes says the Jets are, and this is the report, in case anybody missed it in the beginning. This is a report from 2 hours ago. Connor Hughes. The Jets are and continue to actively negotiate with Breece Hall's representatives in hopes of reaching an agreement contract, per sources. So when Connor Hughes says that, he probably is talking both to the Jets and to Nicole Lynn. Nicole Lynn is the agent here for Breece Hall. And she is a fairly big agent in the league. Probably her biggest client is Jalen Hurts of the Eagles. And then he says the preference is not the tag. So he's telling you the Jets would really prefer to hammer something out, a multi-year deal, 2-3 year deal with Breece Hall, rather than sticking him with the tag on Tuesday. So this right here, when he says per sources, it's good information. It's not him speculating. It's not him doing a favor for an agent. It's not him being a narcissistic douchebag, which he is anyway. But, you know, that's not the reason he's saying this. So you have to know how to filter these things. That's one of the values of FSPN, frankly, is that I help to filter the media properly. Another example, Zach Rosenblather of The Athletic. And I would encourage everybody to follow me on X. I mean, X is where the news breaks these days. It's just, if you're not on X, you're going to be behind. And one of the reasons you should follow me is because then I start dunking on these people when they deserve dunking on. So Zach Rosenblatt, for example, doesn't watch college football, is not a football fan, and has admitted that he's a journalist because he wants to write human interest stories, and football is a way to do that. That's what he has said about himself. Not a big football guy. Doesn't watch college football. So when he comments on a player like Taylon Green, the tall, athletic quarterback from Arkansas, you should laugh at him. You should laugh in his face. And I put out a quote tweet dunking on him because he deserves it, saying that, you know, people who don't watch college football sure do have a lot of opinions about college football players, because he put out a tweet about Taylon Green. And you need to know who are the people who watch college football diligently in the media and who do not. Rosenblatt does not, Hughes does not, Samini does not. Generally, the beat reporters for the NFL don't. And so any of their opinions or reports or things from about college players should be thrown in the garbage unless they're getting the information from reputable sources, which they do sometimes. That's one of the reasons they don't watch college football. Well, they're not really sports fans. But they think also on top of that, well, I'll just talk to the experts. My job as a journalist is talking to people. That's what the job really is, and then figuring out how to report the information that you get from people who are experts at certain things, right? At college football or whatever it may be, scouts, etc. So that's the way you need to view all these people. That's why it helps to know, for example, that Mike Florio was for 17 years a union lawyer. He also, in his early days of publishing, uh, used some very bigoted language towards, let's say, people who, let's say, don't like people of the other sex. Put it that way. He published this on his blog, using bigoted language for such people. So, and then he apologized for it, and people have forgotten about it for some reason or another. It's right on his Wikipedia page. I'm not exactly like Pablo Torre finds out. I just go on, do a Google search, and you find out about this shit about all these people. So he's probably deep down a bigot also, because why would you publish that stuff? Why would you write that stuff on your blog when nobody knows who you are if that's not how you think and who you are? Right now, he would never do that because obviously he's very famous and such. So that's a long answer, but that's one of the values of FSPN. That's one of the things we do on this channel is we break down the media. And people get a little annoyed with me sometimes that I focus on it so much, but I do think it's important so that you understand how to put into context the information they're giving you. And that's one of the values we bring. And we're constantly checking our filters for new information.